What is going on, YouTube? I am Lamont at large, always at the scene of the crime. Today we are in Columbia, South Carolina. I am in the 5 Points District neighborhood. This is the area where a lot of college students going to the University of South Carolina come to unwind, forget about school for at least a night or so, to escape the pressures of getting that degree, getting that master's, and making a life of yourself. Today I'm going to talk about, very quickly, the murder of 21-year-old Samantha Josephsen. I know many of you watching this video have already read about this murder. You've already seen videos about this murder. Let's get right into it. Samantha Josephsen was a student at the University of South Carolina. She was there majoring in political science. At the time she was a student there, she had won a full scholarship to the Drexel University School of Law. She was set to go there, and she wanted to get her degree in international law. Let's go to March 29th of 2019. Samantha comes out here to meet up with some of her friends, just a night out. 2 o'clock in the morning comes and she wants to go home. And after a night of hanging out and having a good time, maybe having a couple drinks or so, you want to get home safely. So you pull out your phone and you use whatever app you use to have a car pick you up and take you from wherever you're at home in a safe and timely fashion. Little did she know that the car that she got into that very, very early morning of March 29th, 2019, the driver behind the wheel of the car was Death himself, Nathaniel Rowland. Little did she know, as she was talking to her friend on the phone, and the car, the black Chevrolet that she got into, that was not her Uber. Samantha had failed to check on her phone to verify that that was her driver. Nathaniel Rowland takes Samantha, and after that is anybody's guess. All we know is that she was brutally murdered. She was stabbed so many times. They only guessed that it was 120 times she was stabbed. They don't even know. That's how many times she was stabbed. They don't know when she realized that I'm in trouble, that this was not the Uber that she had called. When her friends didn't hear from her the following morning, they got worried. They called the police. And about 65 miles away from here in Clarendon County, some turkey hunters discovered her body in a field. And when I talk about brutally murdered, I don't use that word lightly. Brutally murdered. The human body holds 7 pints of blood. Now, I don't know how they know this, but Samantha's body literally bled out to the point where she had about 2 tablespoons of blood left in her. This is the Bird Dog bar. This was the bar where Samantha was at when she left to call her Uber to go home. And you can see in the video, Samantha would have been standing right there. She was standing, and Nathaniel Rowland drives his car and parks right here. She was stabbed in the face, torso, neck. The knife actually went through her skull into her brain. A stab wound went through her hand. Absolutely one of the most brutal murders I've ever read about in my entire life. And that video that shows her getting into that car would have been possibly made by this surveillance camera right here. So once the police have gotten a call that her body's been discovered and she's been identified, homicide detectives go throughout this whole area. They're getting the surveillance video of all of the businesses on Hardin Street, on this street, all around the general area, and they piece together the route that the car that Samantha is in and the direction in which it left. Later on, they're somehow able to identify the driver, probably went to the records of the DMV, and they get 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland. So now they put out an all points bulletin. Be on the lookout for a young black male, 24 years old. This is his picture, and he'll be driving a black Chevrolet. So that very same night, going into the morning, he gets pulled over in this very same neighborhood, right where he kidnapped her. Of course, because he's driving around, he wants to see what the police activity looks like in the area. So the police pull him over, and they ask him for his driver's license, and he's like, "Oh, I don't got my driver's license." Then they say, "Well, why don't you have your driver's license?" "Oh, no, I lost it," or whatever. They tell him to step out of the car, and as soon as he steps out of the car, he starts running, starts taking off. So they chase him, a very short foot pursuit, and they eventually catch him, and they identify him, and they arrest him. They charge him with the murder of Samantha Josephsen, also kidnapping, and committing a felony in the commission of a crime using a weapon. That's not the exact verbiage of that charge, but you know what I mean. So later that year, in July of 2021, Nathaniel Rowland goes on trial for first-degree murder, kidnapping, and using a weapon in the commission of a crime. And I remember watching the news and seeing Nathaniel's parents on TV being interviewed on a local news station, and the mother swearing up and down that her son is innocent. They got the wrong person. Well, they had the right person, because not only did they find DNA under his fingernails that belonged to Samantha Josephsen, but they went to Nathaniel Rowland's girlfriend's apartment. They went digging in the trash, and they found a bloody sock, a bloody bandana owned by Rowland that matched the DNA of Samantha Josephsen. They find the murder weapon covered in Samantha's blood behind his girlfriend's apartment, and in the car that they had pulled him over in was Samantha's cell phone. I would say that's pretty overwhelming evidence. The trial lasts about a week, and of course he is convicted of the murder. Not only is this scumbag still claiming that he's innocent, his mother has the audacity to stand after the trial has already been done, said and done. She stands up in front of the whole court, and you have that poor girl's family there, and still insists that her son is innocent. We just told you that the knife that he used to murder her had her blood on it. His fingerprints on it was behind his girlfriend's house. How did her DNA get under his fingernails? How stupid can you be? Yeah, listen, when our children are accused of a horrible crime, of course you want to think like, oh, not my child. Yeah, my child was a nice person. My child is this. Yeah, your son is no longer a child. Your son is a murderer. He is a grown-up, murderous, scumbag piece of filth and garbage. I'll never forget when I seen that video. That was just absolutely tragic. All right, guys. We got one more stop to go.